Before we dive into our main topic today, if you're enjoying these deep dives, please take a moment to subscribe. Turning on the notification bell, liking, and leaving a comment really does help support the channel. Your engagement means a lot. Okay, let's unpack this. The sources we're looking at today take us right back to the very blueprint of the English language. We're talking about grammar words.
Right.
This is perfect for you if you need a serious refresher, or maybe if you're working through those A1, A2 levels and want to understand not just what the rules are, but, why they even
And what's
exist.
so fascinating here is how much information, how much structure is packed into what looks like a really simple sentence. We usually focus on learning new words, but grammar is the scaffolding that holds everything together.
Absolutely. So our mission today is to decode the fundamental parts of speech really quickly and thoroughly. We're going to analyze a simple story from the learning material to see how just a few words create meaning. Hopefully, we can turn any confusion about terms like preposition or participle into real clarity.
I think so. The material is brilliant because it goes straight from the text to the analysis. It helps you stop seeing a sentence as just a long string of words. You start seeing it as an engineered assembly where every single piece has a job.
A blueprint.
Exactly. We're going to identify those core components that let us communicate, starting with that very first piece of text.
Okay, let's look at that initial text. It paints a very simple picture. An old woman walked slowly up the hill. On the way, she spoke to a little boy. "Good morning," she said.
It's a perfect little lesson, isn't it? This short story, if you connect it to the bigger picture, it illustrates the structure that underpins pretty much all English sentences. It shows how these essential parts have to interact.
So let's zero in on that first sentence because an old woman walks slowly up the hill. I mean, that one line is a grammatical powerhouse. Walk us through that breakdown. Where do we even start?
Well, you always start with the subject and how it's being defined. The very first word is an. The material classifies this as an indefinite article.
And
And that's key because its job is to signal that the noun coming up is nonspecific. It's being introduced for the first time.
yeah.
We're talking about any old woman, not one we already know.
Right. It's like a little flag that says, hey, a new character is entering the scene. And right after that, we get old, which the material labels as the adjective.
Exactly. The adjective is the descriptor. Old gives us crucial information about the subject, which is the noun woman. So there's our subject, the old woman.
And then we get to the action.
The center of the action, the verb walked.
But it's not just that she walked. The sentence tells us how she walked.
And that's where it gets more detailed. She walked slowly. The material is crystal clear that slowly is the adverb. Adverbs are the modifiers for actions. They describe the manner or the time or the place of the verb.
I see. So the difference between the woman walked and the woman walked slowly is huge. It's the difference between a statement and a story.
Precisely. That distinction, adjective for the noun, adverb for the verb, is so critical.
Okay, so after the action, we move to the location. Up the hill, the material marks up as the preposition.
Prepositions are like the utility belts of grammar. They're amazing. They tell us how things relate in space or time. They link a noun, in this case hill, to another part of the sentence.
She walked up the hill.
And notice the article here.
Right. We started with an, which was indefinite, but now we have the hill.
It's a perfect observation, and it shows how grammar serves the story. We use the because it's a definite article. By this point in the sentence, we're talking about a specific hill, one that exists in the context of this little story.
So an introduces the points.
You got it. Without them, the whole thing
A little
feels...
anchored. Yeah.
It does. So you see, it's a chain of functions. You have the article plus adjective plus noun setting the subject.
Followed by the verb plus adverb defining the action.
And then it's all wrapped up by that prepositional phrase that defines the location.
It's just 8 words, but it feels like 8 completely different jobs being done.
And that phrase, up the hill, that's what we call a prepositional phrase. It's the preposition, the article, and the noun all working together as one descriptive unit. Recognizing those units is the key to understanding much longer, more complex sentences later on.
Okay, so if that's the blueprint, the next section in the material moves on to the engine of the sentence, the action words,
No.
verbs, and how they change over time.
Yes, and this is where it gets really interesting because this is a distinction that trips up almost everyone learning English. We have two key verbs in our story, walked and a bit later, spoke.
Hmm.
And we absolutely have to understand the difference between these two types of action words.
Walked is our first one, so what category does that fall into?
Walk is a regular verb. The rule is really simple. To make it past tense, you just add ed, walk becomes walked. It's the standard, predictable format.
But then the text immediately points out spoke as the exception to that rule.
Exactly. Speak is an irregular verb. It doesn't follow the ed rule. Instead of speaked, it changes its whole internal structure to become spoke in the past simple.
Like, becomes went.
Or eat becomes ate. They're incredibly common, and the source makes it clear you just have to learn them. There's no way around it.
And the material goes one step further. It brings up a third form, the past participle. What's the third form for speak? And more importantly, why do we need it?
The past participle for speak is spoken. And the reason it exists is for creating more complex tenses, especially the perfect tenses. The learning material gives a brilliant, immediate example. You use spoken to form the present perfect, as in, have you spoken to the doctor today?
Okay, so that makes the distinction matter right away. It's not just some abstract rule. It's how we talk about things that happened in the past, but are still relevant now. You would never say, did you spoke? Communication just breaks down.
It does. And if you compare that to a regular verb like walked, the past simple form is the past participle. I walked to the store versus I have walked a mile today.
So with irregular verbs, we have to learn three distinct words. Speak, spoke, spoken.
Right. While regular verbs only need one change, it's a big hurdle.
And just quickly, before we move on, let's touch on the middle of the story. On the way, she spoke to a little boy. The material highlights she.
Right. Pronouns. They are absolutely essential for flow. She just stands in for woman.
To avoid repetition.
Imagine reading a whole paragraph that went, the woman walked, then the woman saw, the woman's coat. It would be exhausting to read.
So pronouns like he and she are just substitutes. They're efficiency tools for the brain.
Precisely. The ultimate grammatical shortcut.
Okay, so we've got the basic architecture, and we've tackled the challenge of regular versus irregular verbs. Now let's use the quick verification section from the source. Instead of just listing the answers, let's talk about why these specific points are so often confusing for learners.
I like that. Let's clear up some of the common stumbling blocks.
Let's start with the confusion between articles and adjectives. The material asks if a and the are adjectives. We know they're articles, but why do people get them mixed up?
It's because they do a similar job. They both modify nouns. And modifies woman. The modifies hill. The real distinction is that articles are a tiny closed class of words. A, an, and the. That's it.
Whereas adjectives are almost endless.
Exactly. Old, green, fast, brilliant. So by calling a and the articles, we're setting them apart as structural operators, not just descriptive words.
It's the difference between function and description.
And remember, a and an are the indefinite articles. You use them when the listener doesn't know which specific thing you're talking about yet.
Got it. Okay, next up, adverbs. The words that tell us how we do things. The source asks about words like badly and happily.
And these are classic adverbs. They link right back to our first example, slowly. Usually you just add outly to an adjective. Happy becomes happily. The key thing for any learner is that adverbs should be placed near the verb they're modifying. It makes everything clearer.
Right, though sometimes they don't end in mulcly, which can be tricky.
Absolutely. Think about the word fast. It could be an adjective, a fast car, or an adverb. The car drives fast. The function tells you what it is.
Okay, let's quickly confirm prepositions again. The source asks about up.
And up is definitely a preposition, just like from, in, and on. These little words show location, direction, or time. They connect concepts.
And circling back to verbs, the material asks about the word have.
Have is one of the most important words in English. It's an irregular verb, which is why its past tense is had, not haved. But it's also a helping verb that we use to build those perfect tenses. Knowing have is irregular is essential.
And the last piece of this puzzle is the word gone.
Gone is the past participle of go. The three forms are go, went, gone. This is a huge point of error. A lot of learners might say, I have went to the class.
Instead of I have gone.
Right. It reinforces that you really, really need that third form for those perfect tenses.
Okay, fantastic. So we've defined the terms, we understand their jobs, and we've clarified some tricky spots. Now for the final challenge. Applying all of this to a new text.
This is the real test. Can you spot these grammar words in the wild?
The new text reads, I have an English lesson now. There's a young man from Rome in the class. This morning he asked a question and he spoke very quietly. I think he's in the wrong class.
All right, let's walk through it. Let's find those specific parts of speech. This is where the blueprint really comes to life.
Let's start with the descriptors. What are the adjectives in this text?
Okay, we've got three clear ones. English tells us the type of lesson.
Right.
Young describes the man, and wrong describes the class. Adjectives always work to modify a noun. They answer the question, what kind?
And what about the adverbs, the words answering how or when?
We have now, which tells us the time, and then later we see the phrase very quietly.
2 words there.
2 words working together. Quietly is the adverb modifying the verb spoke, how he spoke. But very is actually another adverb, and it's modifying quietly. It's telling us the intensity.
So an adverb can modify another adverb. That's a great example of complexity built on simple rules.
It is.
What about the prepositions, the words that define relationships?
We find them linking location and origin. From links the man to Rome,
His origin.
and in links him to the class, his location. They're like the structural glue holding the geography of the sentence together.
Can we spot that irregular verb distinction again here?
We can. The text says he asked a question, and he spoke very quietly. Spoke is that irregular past simple of speak.
And right before it, you have asked.
The regular past simple of ask. The sentence itself is a perfect mini lesson on regular versus irregular verbs, side by side.
And just to round it out, what are the common nouns and the main verbs, the skeleton of this text?
The nouns are the concrete things. Lesson, man, Rome, class, question, morning, light. And the main verbs, the actions and states, are have, asked, spoke, and think.
This exercise really drives home that understanding the difference between an adjective and an adverb means you know exactly where to put your descriptive words to be clear.
It does. I mean, at the end of the day, clarity is the entire goal. If you said, he speaks quiet, you're using an adjective to modify a verb, and it just sounds off.
That creates ambiguity.
Exactly. Knowing these basic parts of speech is the fastest way to polish your communication, whether you're writing an email or, having a conversation with that young man from Rome.
So we've taken what seems like very basic instructional material and through this deep dive shown how it provides the clear structure you need to stop feeling overwhelmed. To start seeing sentences as understandable blueprints, we saw how even simple texts are these complex assemblies.
That's right. We broke down the anatomy of a single sentence. We contrasted irregular verbs like speak with regular ones like walk, and we confirmed the job of prepositions and adverbs. Mastering these grammar words is, quite literally, mastering the architecture of the language itself.
So for the person listening who has absorbed this blueprint, what's the final thought to leave them with?
The final thought for you is this. Grammar is everywhere. Think about one of your own favorite short sentences. Maybe a line from a song, a quote, a headline you saw this morning. Can you decode it? Can you identify every single part of speech, especially those tricky articles, prepositions, and of course those irregular verbs? That simple act of applying this blueprint to the language you see every day. That's the real test. If you can decode that sentence, you've truly mastered the grammar words we talked about today.
Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, like, and leave a comment to support the channel.